Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Sanderlanche podcast. Today we are doing The Way of Kings, chapters 54 and 55. In these chapters, Wit, who we find out we get confirmed is Hoyd, seems a bit distracted and does a bit of a runner. We don't know if he's coming back. Sadeas does his best antagonistic attorney routine, only to declare Dalinar completely innocent, which, okay. Kaladin and the crew watch Sadeas and Dalinar do a raid together, and then they go down in the chasm and they find some money, and then Rock gets mad and shoots up a bridge. I'm Dak, and with me this week is...
Data, Joe,
and Jamie.
With me this week, as though that ever changes.
It does sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, but it's not like we're getting new people in.
That's true.
So, here we go. Get ready, Sanderlanche is about to begin.
So yeah, just two more chapters this time, but some interesting bits and bobs in there. What did you guys think of these two chapters?
Yeah, no, these were good. Like I enjoyed it. It was the relationship between Dalinar and Sadeas. Every time I think I know what's going to happen, the rug gets pulled out, which I guess I'm sure is the point. But yeah, it's just really interesting to see those two going at it. And it's like I kind of like expected, maybe Sadeas will declare him innocent because we've had enough hints that Sadeas is like not as big of a dick as we all think. He's still a heinous dick, but he's not all the way shit. He's got a few redeeming qualities, which has been hammered in. But then
this is an amazing review of someone's character.
Yeah, but yeah, it's like I was sort of on the fence about, is he going to declare him innocent, or is he going to frame him, or whatever, or is he behind it? I mean, he could still be behind it, I guess. But then I wasn't expecting him to agree to go on the raid with Dalinar. I thought, okay, that's an interesting wrinkle. As I said, I was delighted when we got confirmation that Wit is Hoyd, because I think Joe was calling that pretty much as soon as he showed up. And it's like, well, that's Hoyd, obviously. So that's cool. I'm curious as to where he's off to, but knowing Hoyd, we're probably not going to find out. And yeah, like all the stuff with the bridge crew, it's like, man, you guys are just like on the edge, just like, all right, are we gonna go? When are we gonna go? And I'm just like, it's gonna explode with those guys soon, and I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, they're definitely building something there. You're not wrong, and you're also not wrong that Sadeas is always he's zigging when you think he's gonna zag. Like this relationship, Adolin still doesn't trust him. Dalinar still wants to trust him. And, yeah. Who knows? Maybe he'll be the good guy after all. The good guy who murders all the bridgemen because he doesn't give a shit. Seems like a tough combo, actually.
We will see.
And then Hoyd, yeah. I mean, there were definitely some calls very early on. It's like, is Wit Hoyd? And now we seem to have gotten confirmation on this, so people should be happy.
We don't seem to. We have. He explicitly says, call me Hoyd.
Yeah. What if he's some other guy?
Call me Ishmael.
What if you just graduate from that Hoyd Academy that Jamie called?
Exactly, yeah. He's from the academy.
You could call me Hoyd. I'm a graduate.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man, we finally get some confirmation on Wit. Also, he mentions Adonalsium to Dalinar. Ooh. So that's interesting as well. Also, like, it was interesting to me that Dalinar has that little conversation where like the Ardentia seems like they're kissing up to him, like trying to ingratiate themselves with him. So like, what's up with that? Thought that was interesting. And then Sadeas, we think he's gonna zig, he zags. He might still have something up his sleeve. I don't know, but he's cleared for now. I think maybe that also this team up between Sadeas and Dalinar could lead to Kaladin coming face to face, maybe not face to face because he's never come face to face with Sadeas, but like becoming known to Dalinar and his group. at least. They're like, who's that young bridgeman with the gusto who watches the battles and
With the gusto.
and heals the wounded? And Sadeas will be like, oh, that guy, I hate him. You could have him if you want.
I threw him out the storm. He survived. No one knows how.
Yeah. And then we had Kaladin and his group doing chasm duty. Interesting that, like, even the Parshmen are like, oh, don't mess with the Parshendi bodies. We don't like that. So interesting. I wonder how, like, I just wonder how they're different, like these Parshendi and Parshmen, which I think has been a topic in the book, like with the characters. They're like, well, how are they different? You know, what changes, like, what are the differences between these two peoples? Because they have so many similarities, and yet one version of them is like super tribal independent, and the other version is like subservient for some reason. So, like, I'd be interested to know kind of how that all came to be. But good stuff. You know, we only got a couple chapters this time, so I didn't feel like there was a ton of action, but there was a good amount of story and some questions answered. So that's always good. Knowledge nuggets, delicious knowledge nuggets. I am surprised we haven't got a perspective from Yasna's mom yet, though. So interested to see if that will actually happen, if she will actually be a perspective, or if she's only named in the part because she's in Dalinar's perspectives. So anyway, so yeah, you'd be interested to know when that will occur.
Yeah, it said that we should see something. So who knows what that'll look like? You make a good point. It could be because she's part of the Dalinar's thing, but I don't know that we've seen one that acted like that. That was, you know, like you were in somebody else's section, so you got your name put on the thing, right? Like, I don't know that we've seen that.
Yeah, two good chapters. I was reading in the first chapter, and, you know, Wit's coming up and talking about stuff, and I was like, this really could be Hoyd, you know. And then I was like, yeah, I'm gonna add that to my predictions this week to be like, yes, I'm pretty sure this is Hoyd. And then about 3 sentences later, he's like, you could call me Hoyd, and I was like, okay, I'm late to the party, but I got there. So
he just stole your thunder.
That was okay. Cool, and obviously he did, and the Adonalcium name drop also was it's all very, very cryptic. I liked when we had sort of Sadeas not necessarily go the way everyone expected him to go. Also, Dalinar's reaction that he was right, which I was like, is that the trust Sadeas piece coming back in? The voice is telling him to trust Sadeas, so that was kind of cool. I had this moment where the Ardent, I was like, maybe it is Cadsal. Maybe he didn't die, and I was waiting for this guy to be like, ooh, jam somewhere, but I think I was just looking for stuff there. There's nothing really in there that made that happen. The next chapter, I like that we've had both Dalinar and Kaladin ask a question about what they've seen. So Kaladin was asking about, is there a city, you know, in stone and all that sort of stuff, whereas Dalinar just came straight out and was like, is this place real? So they're both on a tangent there, which is cool. And nothing quite like a previous week prediction to be completely turned on its head of maybe they won't meet. They probably will now that they've teamed up their armies, and there's definitely an avenue for them to meet plausibly now. So if you ever needed proof that we haven't read the book, guys, there it is for you. But yeah, good chapters. I like that Kaladin and the crew are maybe getting a little crafty, working around the system. That bit of writing before Rock actually took the bow and was willing to take a shot, and I could see the smile on Kaladin's face before even Brandon wrote that it was there. It's like Kaladin knew exactly which fiddle he was playing at that point, which is pretty cool. So I'm excited to see them sneak out, buy their way out. I'm excited to see maybe what happens to Kaladin if he's got more spheres on him. He's obviously referred to the fact that he's healing faster than he should be. He knows something's up, but he doesn't know where to look or even what to ask at this point. I feel like a good avenue is probably ask Phil, but, you know, that might not be so obvious when you're in the moment, I guess.
Yeah, it does seem like if there's weird magic happening, maybe ask the living weird magic that is hanging around you. Maybe there's some relation there.
With you all the time?
Yeah.
it would make sense, yeah. But there's a high amount of pressure involved in being a bridgeman. I know when I'm under a particular amount of stress, the most obvious solution is probably not obvious to me. So that's cool, man. You take your time. You'll get there eventually.
Oh, man. I do like you and Joe both pointed out that now, finally, we have a possible way for Dalinar and Kaladin to run into each other. They're on the same battlefield. And so as opposed to before where it was like, I don't know, maybe somewhere hanging out in the war camps, they'll just bump into each other. Who knows? So now we have a vector, as it were, for this meeting.
We do, but we also have the thing out there where they're saying that Dalinar's this great guy and truly honourable and all that sort of stuff, and we know how Kaladin's feeling about that. So
yeah,
I can't imagine that he would be super pleased to meet Dalinar. Dalinar's going to have to do something particularly major, I reckon, to be able to have a meaningful interaction with Kaladin, or something in their visions, or like bring them together or something. But that's not really a
because
prediction.
The thing is that we've seen he has seen somebody who has that same reputation before. So you're right. It's gonna be a lot harder for him to accept that after Amaram. And there's a reason that by this time in the book we've been shown what happened with Amaram, so that we understand his how he feels about like Dalinar's reputation when he's airing it.
The pieces are all coming together.
So yes, it'll be, I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. It's still possible. We're after these chapters, we're 77% of the way through the book, I think. So it's still possible that they could not meet each other, but we shall see. All right, I guess let's get into these chapters. The first chapter that we did is Gibbeltish, which maybe makes only slightly more sense now that we've read the chapter. And you can see on these Dalinar chapters, you can see like his house logo, the tower and the crown that I mentioned last time. So in case you'd forgotten that one, the epigraph is, "The burdens of 9 become mine. Why must I carry the madness of them all? Oh, Almighty, release me."
So that sounds like that one herald who got left behind.
Yeah, if 9 guys left the 10th one behind, yeah, that could definitely be.
Yeah, poor bastard.
This one was collected secondhand, unknown number of seconds pre-death. So who knows if it's even real. And we start with Dalinar going to a feast. It's not the busiest of feasts tonight because it's cold and there's not a lot going on. Although the King's Island is, that's always pretty busy. The important people who get to come and hang out with the king can't miss one of those feasts. High princes and such.
I do like a good feast, preferably where people don't get killed or murdered.
Yeah, right. No red weddings here.
Those are the ideal feasts, yes.
Well, I mean, there was a red wedding at the beginning of the book.
It's a nice day for a white wedding. No, that wasn't a wedding.
What I mean is like a feast.
We said feasts.
Yeah.
You brought up weddings.
Yeah, you're the one who brought up the red wedding. What are you talking about?
Also, if we're going to talk about bloodbath feasts, what about that one Seth just came into?
That's true. Yeah. That was also a feast. Yeah.
Why are you acting like this didn't happen?
Why is Seth always going around killing people at feasts? You ever wonder about that?
No, I don't. They made him.
I don't honestly, going back to that actually, because he blames the king. It's like, you're the one who set a trap at a feast, so I can blame you. And it's like, I don't know. Did your instructions say wait for a feast? Or did your instructions say just like go find him and kill him? You could have gone whatever day you wanted to kill him. It didn't have to be day of feast.
Hey, don't mess with Seth. He'll kill you.
Pretty sure whoever hired him said you got to make it big, loud, public, and messy. So
yeah, that's true. We did get that pretty explicitly. So Wit is not where he normally sits, and I almost said interviewing, insulting people from a high stool. And Dalinar's like, he must have decided couldn't get too predictable.
That's what we need, a Hoyd talk show.
Yeah.
Late night with Hoyd.
And apparently all the other high princes are here, and they've gotten a little stiff towards Dalinar since he asked them to fight together, as if they were offended by the mere offer.
Interesting choice of the word stiff.
Okay. How so?
Well, I don't know. The way you made it sound, it's like they got stiff on Dalinar. I'm like, whoa.
I mean, it says their treatment of Dalinar had grown stiff and cold. So I was just going with.
Oh, okay. Well, the cold works. If you gotta add that in there. Otherwise,
I like that he notes women have competitions just like men do with their, dueling with shard blades, except for the women, it's like, who can draw the best? And they call it a friendly competition or a game of talent instead of a duel.
Aha, your use of shading is no match for my perspectives.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, no one gets killed in those games probably, so almost certainly better.
Unless they throw a pen and it gets lodged in someone's eye.
And he gets his men's food drenched in thick, peppery brown gravy. So far, Yasna has not replied about the vision, but Navani's like, yeah, maybe I can find out some stuff. She's also super smart. It's just that she mainly focuses on fabrials. Which, speaking of, they have these heating fabrials all over the feast this time in place of like where they normally have fires to keep things warm. So, got technology becoming more common.
The Rosharan hardware store must be doing gangbusters.
Yeah, maybe. Somebody's got to make this
portable
stuff.
heaters. Get your portable heaters.
Yeah. And then all of a sudden some guy just comes and sits next to him and he's like, who would dare? Oh, it's Wit. This guy over here. Maybe that's his new prank. He's just going to come and sit down and make people uncomfortable.
That would be a classic prank.
Classic Wit. Just comes and eats next to you.
Doesn't say anything.
And now I'm a personal space invader.
Yeah. And then when you finally are like, what are you doing? He's like, oh my God, I didn't even see you. Sorry, thought I was sitting alone.
But Wit's like, the winds are changing. He gets very dramatic about it. And he's like, the world spins, the world is spinning, or like a world spinning. We can't see it because we're too much a part of it. And Dalinar's like, world spinning? What foolishness is this? The world spins, whatever.
As the world
I'm telling
turns.
I'm telling you, the Earth revolves around the sun. Burn him!
Exactly. And then Wit makes some weird cryptic remark. It's like the foolishness of men who care, Dalinar, and the brilliance of those who do not. And
the brilliance.
Dalinar's just like, dude, I don't have it in me tonight to figure out what the hell you're talking about. So I'm sorry, and this is a joke, but
yeah.
Wit, have you been drinking? Please. Like, your mortal booze cannot stop Wit.
He's like, I have no idea what you mean. And Wit goes, I know. And then he looks directly at him and says, Adonalcium. Dalinar's like, what?
What?
Like, you ever hear that term, Dalinar? What?
Like, when he says Ado what, I'm like, does Dalinar think he's insulting his son?
Also, like, what was he expecting him to know, or is he just being cryptic for being cryptic's sake? Like, what's he coming to here?
Using what we know from the Lost Metal, I was just like, is Wit trying to sound out if Dalinar has been picked up by the Ghost Bloods?
Maybe.
I thought maybe he knows about the visions that Dalinar's having and doesn't know what kind of information Dalinar is getting out of them. So
that's true. Well, because Hoyd probably knows who's sending the visions. He's like, what is that idiot telling you?
Yeah, could be.
If he told you I have a small dick, it's not true.
And so he says, no, it was just it's a nonsense word, You ever notice how gibberish words are just the sounds of other words cut up and dismembered and stitched back together? Which I'm like, well, how else do you make words except with the sounds of other words?
Yeah,
oh, man.
Right. It's like you're just making sounds with your mouth. That's what words are.
And then it's one of the oddest things. I wonder if you could do that to a man. Pull him apart, emotion by emotion, bit by bit, bloody chunk by bloody chunk, and then combine them back together into something else, like a Dicey-Amian.
It's like, okay, well, this has been a fun conversation. Security.
Has been reading Frankenstein?
So you may recall we have seen the word Amian before.
I do not recall. Please elaborate.
Let me see.
Stop, elaborate, and listen.
So we back in the Axes chapter, he says perhaps he drew stares because of his blue nails and crystalline deep blue eyes. Amians, even Sia Amians, were rare. So Axes is a Sia, S-I-A-H Amian, and apparently, and that section implied there were other types of Amians, and so now we know that a Dicey-an Amian is another type. And
yeah, I'm looking at the map. I can see Amia off in the west.
According to Wit, you can pull Dicey and Amiens apart and combine them back together? That sounds deeply disturbing.
Wait, what are you doing to these people?
Right?
A person is not a Rubik's Cube.
He says, Dalinar, if you ever make a man like that, make sure to call him Gibberish after me, or perhaps Gibbletish. He's like, oh, is that your actual name? No. I abandoned my real name. When we meet again, I'll think of something clever you can call me. Until then, wit will suffice, or if you must, you may call me Hoyd.
Yeah. My real name is Dio, by the way. It's just Hoyd backwards.
Dio. That's a character from
Final Fantasy VII. See, I tied it all together, guys. Aren't you happy?
Yep, Gold
By the
Saucer,
way,
Dio. Mm-hmm.
Another plug for my Twitch channel. If you want to follow me on Twitch, Joe Show Play. I've got a few people from the show that have followed me. Appreciate your support. Still playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Come and check it out.
There you
go. We know Hoyd's real name, don't we? Preservation said it in Secret History.
Preservation said another name for him. Sure enough.
What's that name?
His original one.
Saphandriel or something?
Saphandrius. Yeah.
Saphandrius.
Close.
Yeah. We'll call him Sephi. Like Sephiroth. I did it again, guys.
So he says that he's leaving. And Dalinar's like, wait, you're going? I must. I hope to return. I'll do so if I'm not killed. Probably will anyway. Apologize to your nephew for me. Interesting note, and this is something that we'll learn a little bit about at some future time, but Brandon had said it around the time this book came out, so I can give you guys a little bit of information. We're always seeing Hoyd, pop up places, and Hoyd has a thing where he gets an impression or an idea that he needs to be in a certain place at a certain time, but generally he doesn't know why or what's going to happen once he gets there. He just gets this thing where he's like, oh, I need to go and be at this place at this time. And so he'll just like take off because he got this feeling. And so we see him pop up in places and he may not even know why he's there.
Interesting. He does the Poochie thing without dying. I have to go. My home planet needs me.
Some other planet needs me.
Hoyd did not die on the way to the other planet.
So yeah, he at this point he's just like, yeah, I gotta go, and where he's gonna go, who knows?
I got shit I need to do. Mm-hmm. One of the other lesser known shards is fucking something up somewhere, and I've just got to go pretend to be what's a good occupation? Maybe he can pretend to be a jailer. I don't think he's done that yet.
I gotta go be Wax's chauffeur again. Jeez. Every time I get this job back, it's more awkward.
There's one shard none of the others talk about. His name is Lethargy. Like, I'm constantly cleaning up his mess.
Just the laziest shard, man.
There's no life on his planet. He couldn't be bothered making it.
Dalinar tells him, oh yeah, Elgar's not going to be happy. He's fond of you. And Wit's like, yeah, that's one of his more admirable traits. Alongside paying me and letting me eat his expensive food and make fun of his friends. The Cosmere, unfortunately, takes precedence over free food.
Damn, that's one of Wit's best lines.
Yeah. You tell how regretful that is. It's like, man, I do love me free food, but I gotta go.
Yeah.
But he tells Dalinar that life becomes dangerous and you're at the center of it. Watch yourself. So something's happening.
Ominous.
How much Wit knows. Yeah, right? Just a little bit ominous.
Yeah, which I mean could be just perceived as a dose of crazy, except something is happening to Dalinar, which Wit wouldn't know about really, like other than, hey, Dalinar's acting a bit weird. Like no one really outside Dalinar's trusted circle actually know what's happening to him.
Mm-hmm.
I know something happens in the high storms, but it's just rumors. So the fact that Wit, like there's actually something to that's got to be setting Dalinar in a bit of a spin.
Well,
that's a fair point.
And again, because we know Hoyd is connected to all this stuff somehow, he knows the shards. He could have seen this shard, like all the storm symptoms that Dalinar has. Like Hoyd might have seen all this before, and so he might know more about it. He might not know the specifics, but he knows that like some shard person is doing something to this person because he's seen them do it. He's learned to recognize it. Because Hoyd's been around for forever at this point.
Yeah, as far as we know, a long time. And so what Dalinar does take to heart from all this weirdness is Sadeas is planning a revelation at the feast tonight. Hoyd said. He doesn't know what, but something. So he's like, go get my elder son for me, he tells one of the servants. And so Adolin has arranged for some of their officers to be at the feast tonight, and has also arranged for some of the King's Guard to be the people most loyal to Dalinar. So if something goes down, they've got a decent chance of making it out of here. You got to wonder if Elhokar orders Dalinar to be arrested. What are the guards going to do, really? Like that's a tough position to be in.
Yeah, that's the king. So it's like, we got to do it.
And so once the men are in position, no, I'm sorry, he sends Adolin off to get everybody in position because he's going to confront them. And in the meantime, he strolls over and starts a conversation with High Prince Hatham, who's talking to a couple of guys, one of whom is a Natan, someone from Natan who has red gloves, blue skin, and white hair. And there's also an Ardent here. They're like, yeah, what do you think about the conflict between the Tukari and the Amuli? And so they're both Makabaki kingdoms, and they are having a conflict which is religious in nature, but the Natan guy goes, all conflicts are essentially economic in nature. So that's the source of this disagreement. And so they're fighting over the city of Semelek's Dar, which is the same city that Kaladin saw with rifts cut into the stone that we've talked about previously. Or do we talk about it in the next chapter? It gets talked about. That's the important thing.
No, I think it was before this because he had to ask Sigzil about it in the previous bunch of chapters, and Sigzil, oh yeah, that's this place.
And so the city is central to the Imuli religion. They say it's their ancestral homeland, a gift from the heralds. The Tukari, led by that god priest of theirs, Tezim, and they're trying to take the city. It's like, so it is a religious conflict, and the Natan guy is like, but if the city weren't like one of the best ports in the region, would they really care that much about its religious significance? I think not. And then he finishes up with the extremely condescending, they're pagans after all, so we can't presume their religion has any real importance. And then Dalinar's like, completely out of nowhere, is like, hey, any of you guys ever heard of Feverstone Keep? And they're like, no. Why?
Why are we
curious?
Yeah. What's it's like, okay, well, we're talking about something else.
Well, we're talking about cities. Feverstone Keep is a city. Dalinar, I'm not sure where you're going with this.
Just didn't know if any of you guys had ever been there.
And then, they're trying to have this conversation about the nature of this conflict. And Dalinar's like, who even cares? It's just another war. If they weren't fighting this one, they'd be fighting some other war. Like, who gives a crap? All the reasons are the same in the end. And Hatham's like, which devotary do you credit? The Order of Telenelat. Like, oh, yeah. So you would hate arguing over religion. You must find this conversation boring. Leave, please. And then it's like the Natan guy is kind of like talking down to him, like, the Order of Telenelat? I always considered that devotary for lesser people. And then the Ardent goes like, oh, this from a Natan? And just like insults him, like, yeah, your family's Vorin, but conveniently so. It gives you favorable trade with Alethkar. One wonders if you would be equally devout when not standing on our soil. Which is kind of throwing in his face the same argument that he was already making, that really it's not about religion, it's all about economics. And the guy's just like, I don't have to be insulted like this. And he runs off, and Hatham has to chase him, like, no, please, just ignore him. And once the Ardent and Dalinar are on their own, the Ardent's just like, ugh. Insufferable bore.
He's like, I did that on purpose.
And so, yeah, it turns out that Hatham had told the Ardent to insult the guy so that he could apologize and make it look like the concessions in the trade agreement that they have are because he feels guilty about this and is trying to make up for it, and the guy won't be too suspicious and will sign the contract easily. And Dalinar's like, geez, you guys make everything so complicated.
The artist's just like, yeah, the Bright Lord paid me to insult the guy. I would have done it for free, but hey, I'm not going to turn it down.
Yeah. That guy's Hasim. What is it? Hatham? Hatham. It's like, Hatham's a chump. I would have done it for nothing.
Well, Hatham owns the Ardent because Ardents are all properties, so he is kind of doing it for nothing. And Dalinar's like, why are you telling me all this stuff? And it's like, well, Hatham wishes his partner in negotiations to know of his goodwill. I wish you to know of our goodwill towards you. He's like, what? Why would it matter if I had the goodwill of you or the Ardents, the Devoteer you belong to, I don't even know what you're talking about. And the Ardent just smiles and goes, we'll speak with you again. Whoever we is in this, like, geez, that was cryptic. Why is everybody being so damn cryptic tonight? Apparently, since the hierarchy, the Ardents have been forbidden from participating in politics. But, it happens.
And you get corrupt religious people in government, and it makes you think twice.
And so all the men are in place, Adolin comes up and says, and Donald's like, okay, let's go. Like, wait, Dad, Father, what are we doing? Being provocative.
Yeah.
So they just walk right up to the king, who's talking to Sadeas, and he's like, Sadeas, I hear you got something to say about your investigation. And Sadeas is like, Dalinar, are you your investigation, Sadeas? Give it up. And so Sadeas is like, I mean, okay. I was gonna make an announcement. I was gonna wait a little bit, but all right. And so he gets up and he really makes a meal of this speech where it seems for a minute like he might be gonna accuse Dalinar, and Dalinar's getting ready to like fight back against it. And he's like, we discovered, like, he has a whole thing where it's like Dalinar and the king, it's like the king's saddle must have been sabotaged when no one was around, and Dalinar and the king conspicuously rode off together and were alone. But what it comes down to is that, they bring out the boy who saddled up the king's horse in the first place, and he's like, yeah, I put the king's favorite saddle on just like I was told to. But then when they led the horse by to take it to Dalinar's camp, it was wearing a different saddle. And so, oh man, the saddle was replaced with like a sabotage saddle, but before it got to Dalinar's camp, so it couldn't possibly have been Dalinar. And Dalinar's like, wait, what? And Adolin literally out loud goes, what? And Sadeas is like, all evidence points to your father being innocent, Adolin. You find this surprising?
Sadeas is just like, if Chewbacca lives on Endor, we must acquit.
Exactly, yeah. Chewbacca, the Wookiees don't live on Endor. I'm just... That was a deeply flawed episode of South Park. I'm sorry.
Wasn't that the point?
I mean, maybe. I don't remember. Just the Wookiee defense.
The Wookiee defense. The Wookiees live on the home planet of Kashyyyk.
Yeah. Yoda went there one time.
It's true. He's been there a few times, actually.
So in the end, it's like, yeah, Sadeas thinks that someone is trying to make one of Dalinar's enemies is trying to make him look bad, is what he decides, or is what he proclaims. And so after it's all done, Dalinar's like, I mean, thanks. Why didn't you go through with it? And he's like, go through with what? Like, I took this job because I wanted to prove you were innocent because of all the crazy ass rumors flying around undermining the king. And he's like, do you know what your problem is, Dalinar? Why everyone has begun to find you so tiresome? You've grown so despicably self-righteous. I love the simile here where he's like, you've been looking down on us like a man standing on top of a single sheet of paper who therefore thinks himself so high as to see for miles.
A single sheet of paper. That is good.
Yeah. And he's like, I wasn't going to see you maligned for this bungled attempt to kill the king. But also, what I kind of skipped over is Sadeas discovered that it wasn't just the cut saddle girth, which, as everyone agrees, would be a stupid way to try and kill a shard bearer. The shard plate has spheres in it, which, I don't know, power it in some way. It's kind of unclear here. But the spheres are an important component to the shard plate. And there's 10 of them in there, and 8 of them were cracked, which is suspicious. He thinks that someone has intentionally swapped out bad spheres in the king's plate. And so between him falling from the horse and fighting with the chasm fiend, it might have actually been a successful assassination attempt.
Yeah. Well, I think the spheres are like with the Fabrial, right? It's like everything runs on the spheres and the magic.
Who could pull a Shallan on a piece of shard plate?
Somehow, I guess it is kind of pulling a Shallan. Interesting point. Swapping it out.
Yep. King was in the bath. We just stole his shard plate and swapped out the jewels.
You gotta wonder how well his shard plate is guarded. One would presume pretty well, since it's very valuable. But
it's one of the most important things that he has. Yeah.
Yeah. And I do like Sadeas is just still condescending, where he's like, people started talking as if you'd try to assassinate Elhokar. You can barely bring yourself to kill Parshendi these days.
Damn.
It's really hard to get a read on Sadeas because he is a total asshole, but he's doing some good things. It's like, because Brandon loves to have like these bad characters who are obviously bad, and then it turns out they're actually not quite so bad, like Hrathen. But I'm not sure if Sadeas fits that yet. It's like he's kind of like halfway between Hrathen and Strathventure, and it's like I can't tell which side of that you're going to fall into.
I like that Strathventure is the other end of that scale because he totally.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think Strathventure is pretty much the of all the characters that we've read so far, he's the one who's unambiguously from the word jump been absolute asshole start to finish.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was on Reddit the other day and somebody was talking about how they just finished the first Mistborn book, The Final Empire. And they're like, it was okay, but like I didn't get that into any of the characters. There was nobody that like I loved or hated. It was just kind of meh on the characters. So they're like, if I keep going, is that going to change? And my response was like, at the very least, I can pretty much guarantee that if you read The Well of Ascension, you will find someone to hate.
Yep.
We got Strathventure, we got Zane. You're gonna find somebody to hate. Just go for it. I don't know that you're gonna love anybody, but
fucking Zane.
Yeah, he's the worst, right?
Nah, he's not the worst. You got Spook, I got Moash.
You hate Moash that much, huh?
Yeah, I'm really not. And I'll get into this at when we get to predicaments, but man, fuck Moash.
Oh, really? Okay.
I haven't had a wild hill to die on.
It's true, yeah. Jamie always picks somebody.
Well, yeah, yours was Orion for the longest time, but then a little while ago you were just like, she was annoying, but she wasn't shit.
Correct.
Yeah.
This book, Jamie had Cabsal though, who was absolutely
that's true.
He's absolutely terrible.
super evil. So
He's pretty garbage.
I think the difference there was like we all came around on that one as well. Like Jamie's like Cabsal sucks, and then the more the book went on, we're just like, man, you're right. Cabsal does suck.
Cabsal does love Jam too much.
Yeah, fucking Jam boy,
dude.
It's like his life depended on the jam. Or
yeah. If you left him alone long enough, he'd try to roll it up and smoke it.
Just walking in with an IV drip full of raspberry jam. It's like, dude, what the fuck?
It's so good.
I need the jam.
Just dipping his hand into the jam. Like, I can't stop.
Are you scooping that jam out like a bear? Leave me alone.
Winnie the Pooh over here. Yeah, exactly.
Oh, bother.
Yeah. He's like, you ever seen a platypus bear? Don't mess with those things, man.
Surely you mean his pet skunk bear.
No, just a bear.
Weird.
I'm fairly certain that somewhere on Roshar there's got to be a crab bear.
Probably, right?
Yeah, a big chitinous bear.
Yep.
That's scary.
Yeah, there are a lot of crab.
To see if there's art of a crab bear.
Yeah, this planet is filled with a lot of chitin because I mean the way they describe the Parshendi like body armor, chitinous.
Oh my god.
Chitinous,
yep, there's a picture here.
It reminds me of Skyrim and Morrowind. You can go find like some crab critters and then turn them into armor.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, I found a crab bear. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Oh, good.
Is it from Roshar or you just?
No, it's just like
just
the first Google image search.
Nice.
Crab at the
bear crab. Yeah.
Yep.
Reminds me of some of the cards from Bears versus Babies or Bears, whatever that game is.
Yeah. God, I haven't played that in a while.
Okay, so we're back in the conversation between Sadeas and Dalinar. Sadeas is like, is it true that you talked about giving up the Vengeance Pact? And Dalinar's like, I mean, I mentioned it, yeah, but what I want to do now is win. But nobody else will listen. They all think I'm trying to dominate them with some crafty trick. And Sadeas is just like, yeah, you'd sooner punch a man in the face than stab him in the back. Blessedly straightforward. And Dalinar's like, ally with me. Let's do a joint plateau assault, you and me. Dance off, bro, you and me. And Sadeas is like, if having extra dudes helped, I would bring more of my own guys. Like, there's no reason to team up. And Dalinar's like, no, look, we both have the stuff that we're good at, right? Your bridge crews are super fast. My troops are stronger. So you get there quick, you hold them off until I arrive, and then we like take them together, and we'll win more often. But the real sweetening of the pot is it could mean a shard blade, Sadeas. I know you fought Parshendi shard bearers, but you always lose without a blade. Apparently Dalinar has killed 2 so far, but he doesn't get there as quickly, so he doesn't get the chance as often to fight them. So he tells him, I'll get you a blade. And he even offers him a really good deal on the split, like 2/3 of the gem hearts to you because you have twice as good a record at winning these assaults.
Yeah, it's a pretty good split.
And he says, if we fight a shard bearer, Adel and I will kill him. You get the blade, I get the plate to give to Renarin. And Sadeas just can't help himself. He's like, what, the invalid? And Dalinar's like, what do you give a shit where the plate goes? You already have plate. You could get a blade. And Sadeas is like, okay, all right. Send me the details via messenger, but later. I've already missed too much of the feast.
Unlike Hoyd, Sadeas is all about the free food over the Cosmere.
Oh, yeah, he is.
Oh, dude. He loves eating that food.
Yep.
And then
as long as Rock's not cooking it.
We get an illustration here that we cannot read of, I don't know. It looks like a Wolverine claw thing with a gem inside of it.
Yeah, kinda.
And this is an example. If you look at the writing on here, this is what is known as women's script. It's what they write in this world, basically. What the women write in, because the women are the only one who can read and write.
I did notice it was all like symmetrical above and below the line.
Yep.
As well. I was like, that's that thing they like.
They do love symmetry. It's true.
Yep.
So yeah, at some point we may go back and I'll give you guys the translated version of this. But for now, we shall continue. Chapter 55, An Emerald Brome, and the epigraph is: a woman sits and scratches out her own eyes, daughter of kings, and wins the Vandal.
Sounds lovely.
Right? Yeah, no, that doesn't make a pleasant picture. This one is from a beggar of some renown, known for his elegant songs. And so we're a week after Dunny's death. That's how they're going to measure time from now on, by the way. It's like everything is going to be AD after Dunny.
Damn it. I make that same joke.
Yeah, me too.
But this time, they got here before the Parshendis. Nobody died from the arrows and such. And then they see another army coming. Moash is just like, a little late, aren't they? But it happens sometimes, another army shows up and somebody else has gotten there first. They turn around and go home. And Scar says, oh, that's Dalinar Kholin. Like, I can see his standard. And Moash goes, they say he doesn't use bridgemen. Callum says, how does he cross chasms then? And he's got these big siege tower bridges pulled by chulls. So as soon as he asks the questions, he sees it. And Callum's like, well, that must be slow. And Moash is in love with Dalinar here. They say he's a true light eyes, like the men from the old days, a man of honor and oaths. And Calton is like, whatever. Heard that before. I'll tell you about Bright Lord Amaram sometime. And Scar's like, Amaram, the shard bearer? Everyone's talking about him. He's supposed to be on his way here. Oh, that's great. Somebody just recently asked. Yeah. One of you guys was like, is Amaram still alive? Like, is he going to come? Well, apparently he's on his way. So
Amaram's going to say, so I hear someone survived a storm. And Calton's like, you fucking rang. And Amaram will not recognize him because he's very bad with faces.
Amaram already forgot him once, so
yeah.
It's like, ever wonder what makes the chasm so special? Yo.
Amaram is just like Mr. Burns, and Kaladin is his Homer.
Yep. Who the devil are you? So Scar's like, oh man, were you with him when he won his shards? And Kaladin's like, no, nobody was. And then they see Dalinar's army like go in for the attack. He's like, maybe he thinks Sadeas will lose and wants to take a shot at it after he retreats. And Cal's like, no, he's like joining the battle. What's going on here? And they figure out that like this must have been a plan. Sadeas brought like fewer people than usual. So, and then they see the two shard bearers, Dalinar and his son, leap across the chasm to start fighting. And Calvin's like, well, that's a different way of making the like bridge assault. Interesting. Moash is like, I wish I'd been recruited to his army instead. That guy's so cool. And Kaladin seems to have figured out that the guy that he met in the street was Adolin, Dalinar's son. I don't think that came out at the time, but he's just like, oh, okay, that was who it was. He seemed genuinely selfless in his defense of that woman. And they win the battle. Everybody's happy. And we cut to them being on chasm duty. The battle went so well and so quickly that they got back in time for them to be sent down into the chasm that very same day. This bitch is just like, hate her.
Yep. She is the worst.
But down here, they have found an emerald brome. the largest and most valuable of spheres, or stone to be in a sphere, I guess technically. But they're all admiring it, like, oh my gosh, that's worth so much. What do we do with it? But so it turns out that the bridgemen, they get searched when they come out of the chasms, so they can't sneak anything. Not only that, Moash is like, man, I bet I could swallow that. It's totally worth the risk. And Callan's like, no. You think the guards who watch us in the latrines are there to keep us from fleeing? I'll bet some sodden parchment has to go through our droppings. I've seen them keep a record of who visits and how often.
Jeez.
So that's how determined they are to make sure nobody sneaks any spheres out that don't belong to them. They're going through. They got guys who watch them
matter.
Go to the bathroom and then they search it later.
Terrific.
Just picturing a parchment rocking up in plumber's overalls.
A Mario Bros. Parchment.
He's got the moustache.
I am Parchment. It's a Parchment. So they're gonna give this one big sphere. Callan says no, we got to give it to him, but we try to keep the rest of these. He's got a pouch full of spheres that adds up to almost as much as that, or to a little more rather than that one big one. And Rock's like, oh, that's a great idea. We give him the expensive one and they think we're honest. It will disguise the theft. Yeah. But how do we keep the pouch? I'm working on it. And so he sends everybody else off to do the work. And he's like, how do we keep some of these spheres? And while they're working, Maps, our favorite guy, Maps, is like, hey, Sig, you're a world singer, right? Tell us a story. It's like, I don't tell stories. I'm not a jester. I don't give tales. I spread knowledge of cultures. I bring peace through understanding. It is the holy charge my order received from the heralds themselves. And Maps is like, well, start spreading then.
He's a bit sensitive about it, isn't he?
Yeah, right. Oh, yeah, and here's where it is. Kaladin's like, hey, why don't you tell us is there a place where people live in big gouges in the ground? And Sigzil's like, yeah, that's Sesemelek's Dar, the capital of the kingdom of Imul.
I could have sworn this was last time. Oh, well, disregard.
One of the most ancient cities in the world. The city, and indeed the kingdom, were said to be named for Yezrian himself. And Malop, it says, a thick-haired fellow with a bushy black beard and a glyph ward tattoo on each hand was not the brightest sphere in the goblet. He's like, Yezrian? Who's that? Oh, you call him the Stormfather here in Alethkar, or Yezereza Ellen? He was king of the heralds, master of storms, bringer of water and life, known for his fury, but also his mercy. And Malop's just like, oh, okay.
I learned something today.
Yeah.
Don't know what it was, but
I'll forget it in 5 minutes.
They're experts at creme pottery there, and dark-skinned like Sig. It's a wondrous place filled with exotic travelers. Like, their legal system is very lenient towards foreigners. When you visit, you're treated as a relative who has traveled from afar to be shown all kindness and leniency.
Wow.
So,
This is like Come From Away, if you've ever seen that musical.
I don't think so.
One of the best musicals I've ever seen. I'll highly recommend. Yeah.
Okay. What's it about?
It's after 9/11, like a whole bunch of planes got diverted from US airspace and landed in Newfoundland, and they basically doubled the island's population overnight. And it's all about, like, they're freaked out because they've been diverted and all this stuff's gone down back in America, and the local towns have to, like, how do we feed and house all these people? And it's just like the down home, like, country town spirit of just like, come on in, our doors open, everyone's welcome. It's like it's super wholesome.
Yeah,
But then navigating, the horrors that are unfolding, on the TV, and as everyone's finding out more and learning about the fates of their families. Like, you wouldn't think it's a story that lends itself really nicely to a musical, but it's very well done. The music is amazing.
They made it work.
It's such an amazing story. Would highly recommend. We've seen it a couple of times.
Yep, I think there's a filmed version on Apple TV. At least there was.
That's interesting. And now that you say that, I remember hearing about, like, not that it was about that musical specifically, but about the event, and it made a lot of noise at the time. So or not at the time, I guess. At the time there were bigger things, but later on there was a lot of talk about that. So, it's interesting that's a musical. Okay. They worship Yezrian there, though they don't accept him as the figure from foreign religion. They name him as the only god. And Tef's like, the heralds aren't gods. It's like, I mean, yeah, to you they aren't. Others regard them differently. They have what your scholars would call a splinter religion, containing some born ideas, but to the Imuli, you would be the splinter religion. And Teft is annoyed by this. Like, my religion's not a splinter, you are. And so he goes on explaining
Good
stuff
time
about...
for it, but from my perspective, the Jedi are evil.
Nice. Yep, there you go. Bringing it back.
It's always a good time for that.
Just fits everywhere.
Yeah. And so Kaladin, like, Sig goes on and tells lots of details about those people, but Kaladin is just amazed that, like, that thing that he saw in a dream was real. So, okay, this is crazy. He says that the sword is not a weapon for a leader. Having to strike a man personally is crass. They like spears or bow and arrows. And he's like, spears used by light eyes? That's ridiculous. This whole culture, every time that they're exposed to something new, it's just like, other people do stuff differently? Losers?
Yeah. What are they talking about?
And I just love how Sigil's just like, can you just knock it off for like one fucking... I'm trying to tell you about this culture. Stop shooting down everything I say.
This is why they need these world singers to expose other people to other cultures, because everyone is just like, other people are dumb.
Yeah, this is just more and more. It's like, man, Sigil's coming through as like one of the better characters in this book for me.
Yeah, I can see that.
I like Sigil.
And he says to the Shin, like, fighting is like the worst way to solve anything. If you have to fight another man, you've already failed. Although we've seen a certain Shin who doesn't get a choice in the matter.
Yeah, but he was disowned by the Shin.
That's true. He's truthless, whatever that means.
Like he's pretty much the exact opposite of what a Shin is supposed to be.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And Kaladin's like asks about a bow, and Sigil's like, yeah, among my people, the bow is a noble weapon. He's like, so do you know how to use one? No, I don't.
Just imagine the indignation dripping from us. Like, you think I wouldn't have brought it up if I could?
I would have mentioned it before now, my man. And so Kaladin tells them to get some spears together, and he also wants to find a bow. But he says, we're going to use some spears for training. And Malop's like, but we're supposed to turn them in. And he's like, no, not if we leave them down here in the chasm. We'll like stick them someplace where we can get at them and they won't get washed away, so that we can practice with them. And Tef's like, okay, but how are we going to get the spears out to help us escape? Kaladin's like, I'll find a way. And Scar's like, you say things like that a lot. And here's where Moash jumps in. Like, leave off Scar. He knows what he's doing. So we now got Moash defending Kaladin to you others. This is... This relationship is turning.
Thoughts?
Jack, how you feeling?
Don't you worry about spears. Let me worry about blank.
I got stuff, but I'll bring it up for predicaments.
Okay, predicaments. And so they found some Parshendi bodies, and the Parshendi are more likely to have bows, although they don't find the Parshendi a whole lot. Not nearly as often as they do Alethi, because the Parshendi are less likely to be knocked over the side of because we know that they can jump between chasms. They don't have bridges, they jump. So less likely to fall into a chasm and die, basically. And so Kaladin starts to try to search one of the Parshendi, and our friend Shen, they're the Parshman who's joined the team, does not like that. We found out before that the Parshendi do not like it when you move their bodies. Dalinar was using that during the battle to his advantage to like piss them off. And apparently the Parshmen are the same way. They do not like when you mess with their dead.
Yeah. Like Kaladin keeps pushing this, Shen's going to challenge him to claw pluck.
Claw pluck!
In the gonads, here!
Nobody correct him!
And so,
tell me, Fry, it's been a while since medical school. Disemboweling in your people, fatal or non-fatal? Fatal. 20 on myself.
Parshman workers are allowed to care for their own dead, Sigil says. It's one of the few things they seem passionate about. So even the normal Parshmen do not like it when you mess with the dead. They take them out, they wrap them in linen and carry them out into the wilderness and leave them on slabs of stone. And so he's like, okay, well, we're going to have to scavenge from these Parshendi. Teft, you're going to have to hold Shen back because he's going to try to stop us. And then he's like, men, be respectful of the dead. Shen is one of us now, so let's try to keep his irritation to a minimum, okay? And they find a bow, and they find some dry bowstring in a pouch of one of the dead guys. And so Kaladin has his idea. He wants to tie the spheres onto the pouch of spheres onto an arrow and shoot the arrow into the bottom of a bridge. And then when they cross the bridge to get to one of the fights, Lopin or somebody can reach down there, grab him, and carry him off, which is a really cool plan. The problem is nobody in the crew knows how to shoot a bow. And I like he's just like, Sigzil, you know something about bows, so maybe, like, how hard do you think it'll be to hit that bridge? He's like, wow, man, I don't know.
You guys remember that movie Dragonheart from the 90s where Sean Connery was the dragon?
I know of it. I did not see it.
Oh, I love it. It's like, it's I wouldn't say it's a great movie, but it is such a fun one and like recommended to everyone. And the soundtrack is an absolute, like, is incredible. But there's a bit, Pete Postlethwaite is a priest in it, who's, you know, been a pacifist, but then for the final battle, they're just like, man, we need people. Can you fire a bow? He's like, I've never fired one in my life. I will just give it a shot. And his first 2 shots, like at a decent distance, hit the practice dummy in the head and the groin. And everyone just looks at him and goes, dude, you're a natural.
Perfect. Don't change a thing. And so they're like, so, okay, somebody's got to try to shoot this up there. And Kaladin suggests taking maybe some practice shots before we try to shoot the bag. But at the same time, they don't want to draw attention, like arrows flying up out of the chasm. And Sigzil's like, man, I don't want to be the one responsible for this. Teft, you want to give it a shot? And Teft's like, I mean, okay, how hard can it be? And Rock is like, how hard? And suddenly Kaladin's like, wait a second. I'm sensing something here. So he's watching Rock out of the corner of his eye, and he's like, well, I mean, I guess we'll just have to try it. Without these spheres, the wounded will die. And Teft suggests, like, no, what about this? What if instead, on the next bridge run, we tie some rope to the bridge and toss it down? And then next time, you know, when we're down here, we can tie stuff to the rope, pull it up. It's easy. You know, no problem. And Kaladin's like, 50 feet of rope, that would get attention just buying it. But Lopin, he's like, I got a cousin who works in a place that sells rope. I can get some easy with money. But at the same time, he's like, we can't just leave a rope dangling for days. Somebody would notice that. Like, okay, well, we'll just have to give it a shot, Teft. Why don't you go ahead? And Rock's like, fine, give me the bow. Rock seems to know what he's doing. he weighs the thing out, and he's like, okay, we can only take 5 spheres. Anything else would be too heavy. It's crazy to try even with 5. And so they get the 5, not the most valuable one, that emerald brome, but they get 5 of the next most valuable bromes, which are the sky bromes, the blue ones, I guess. And they stick those in there, which is still worth quite a bit. And I like Scar's like, hey, this is stealing, you know. And Cal's like, yeah, and I don't feel the least bit bad about it. Do you? Why did you? And Scar's like, nope, not at all. Like, why did you bring this up, my man?
Yeah, he's been kind of acting shifty all chapter. Some of the other things he said is just like, this guy ain't right.
It feels like he's just trying to be like contrary for contrary's sake.
Right? Yeah, it kind of does.
Kind of like Moash ain't doing that anymore, so they needed someone to do it. And it's like, this Scar guy's kind of a dick.
Maybe. And someone suggests that they need to keep a watch on each other and make sure no one goes off to talk to Gaz. And Kaladin has a speech where he's like, no. We're Bridge 4. We have to trust each other. We face death together. I trust all of you. We're not going to, like, grow paranoid about this money and won't be watching each other. And then...
but also, Syl, will you do that?
Yeah.
Thing?
Later, Syl's like, hey, you want me to watch them? And Kaladin's like, yeah, no, that's a good idea. So Rock has to specify, I will not use a bow to fight. Okay? And Kaladin's like, okay, that's fine. But shooting bridge is okay. He goes, how did you learn? And Rock goes, is secret. Take bow. Bother me no more. So Rock manages to get the arrow into the side of the bridge at the bottom, just in a good place for somebody to reach down and grab it when they come by later. He is an excellent shot, is what we seem to learn here. He's like, Kaladin's like, Lopin, you really think you can get us some rope without anyone noticing? Oh, my cousins never fail me. And Earless Jax is over here. How many cousins do you have anyway? A man can never have enough cousins. Earless Jax is such a... We've talked about it before, but it's just such a random, weird name. Like,
I forgot he was still here. I thought he was dead.
Like, did he lose his ears and that's when they named him Earless Jax? Or was there another guy who's named Jax? Like, I know we've talked about it, but it's so bizarre. Did his mom name him Earless Jax?
Maybe
his mother.
He's just really bad at listening to people.
He's got 2 ears.
His mom, then. His mom was like, that boy can't hear. Earless, I tell you, earless.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I like that one, yes. It's just, his mom's like, pay attention.
That name followed into the army.
But those are our chapters for this time. let's see. We're gonna try this week my proposed new thing. Before we get into predictions, I'm gonna tell you guys the names of the chapters we're reading for next time. That way you add that to your predicaments.
Okay. So
next time we're reading 2 more chapters, 56 and 57, and those chapters are called. Let's see. That Storming Book is chapter 56, and 57 is called Wander Sail, which I'll be interested to hear what you guys think of that one. It's a fairly, let's see, the people tend to have some feelings about that chapter. So
Wander Sail.
Yep. So predicaments. What do you guys think? Where are we going? What's going to happen?
Well, that chapter, That Storming Book, that's got to be Dalinar reading Way of Kings, and maybe Sadeas comes in and just like, this isn't fit enough to wipe my ass with. I've got no idea what the hell Wander Sail's meant to mean, so moving on.
Sure.
So my predictions for this week, I'm drawing a few threads. We've made some predictions. We've been making predictions all book, and I'm going to combine a couple of them. So Kaladin will meet Dalinar and Adolin, and Dalinar will die this book. So I'm going to put these together. Now that we've seen Sadeas and Dalinar working together, we've already floated at this episode, this is going to lead to Kaladin meeting Dalinar. So I think that Dalinar will probably say, all right, can I just have a look at your bridge crews? Like, I'm not going to mess them up or anything. I just want to just get their take on it. And Sadeas is like, fine, go do your thing. Dalinar goes down. He goes to the bridge crews, and he meets Kaladin. And something about Kaladin, like, I don't quite know, let's just sort of handwave how this happens. But I think Dalinar will pick up on the fact that Kaladin has storm visions like himself after being out in the storm. Like, obviously not the same type, but we've seen, Kaladin's had visions from the storm, like in the high storm. So maybe he'll hear through the grapevine. They're like, yeah, he gets up during the storm and like comes back to himself. And Dalinar's like, oh, that's interesting. So then he asks Sadeas, can I have this guy? And Sadeas, like, once he realizes who he means, just like, oh, that guy? Yeah, fucking get him out of my hair. Yes, please. And then Kaladin will say, no, I'm not going anywhere unless I can bring my crew. And Dalinar will go, all right, well, I'll pay for him or replace him or whatever. And Sadeas like, fine, just get this guy the fuck out of here. So Dalinar will welcome the bridge crew with open arms. Kaladin will be uncertain because he's very hesitant about Light Eyes. And then Moash, that unmitigated fuckwit, will murder Dalinar because he's a fuckwit.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so I think all this in these chapters about Moash being just like, oh man, Dalinar is the best, Dalinar is the greatest, and like I'm on Kaladin's side now, everything. I think this is actually building to, like, this is going to be another rug pull, because Moash has in the past said, I want to kill all the Light Eyes, and I think that's sort of meant to be like the extreme position of Kaladin that Moash is reflecting there. So I think when they do get into Dalinar's camp, I don't think it'll happen straight away, but over time, Moash he'll call it, he was convinced by Kaladin that, all Light Eyes suck, and I feel betrayed by Dalinar once we actually start working for him for whatever reason. So I think Moash is going to put a sword through Dalinar's back. Because once again,
that would be dramatic,
from the bottom of my heart, fuck Moash.
We really moved in there quick. Wow. I mean, Joe took a while to get to fuck Spook, I feel like. So
you talk about it. He was there from day one.
I mean, he never loved Spook, but I feel like we were book 3 or something before he was like, fuck that guy.
Yeah. The nail in the coffin was really like the...
I know why you said.
Yeah. Like, I was like, what the fuck is this guy's problem?
Yeah. I don't know, man. I just got a gut feeling on this one. Like, Moash is not a good dude.
Okay. Moash is not a good dude. Gonna stab Dalinar in the back.
Yeah.
Okay. That is a bold prediction. I like it.
I'm just weaving the thread we've been predicting for ages. Kaladin will meet Dalinar. Dalinar will die. It was like, I think Brandon's going to set it up so it looks like Kaladin's going to do it, but then Kaladin realizes maybe Dalinar is the real deal after all. So he reverses his position on that, and Moash reverses his position on Dalinar, and he does it.
Kaladin is very much, anti-Light Eyes. I don't know. I mean, you make a good point that would be Moash being like the extreme version of Kaladin, because I don't know that Kaladin's ever been like, I want to kill all the Light Eyes. Kill them all, let God sort them out.
There was that conversation with Sigzil where he was telling about 6 lines of succession and what have you, and and Moash is like, man, if we just kill all the Light Eyes, then we take over, right? And even Kaladin's like, I don't think that's how it works.
That's a little intense there, my man. Step it back like 2 steps.
But yeah, I just think it'd be real prime for Kaladin to reverse his position on Light Eyes through Dalinar, and Moash reverses his position on Dalinar because of the Light Eyes. There's symmetry here.
That would be symmetrical, yeah. And they're big fans of symmetry, as Jamie established earlier.
Yeah.
Okay, no, this is good. All right. I love like Legoing together different predictions that we've been doing along the way to like make a new shape.
Yeah.
That's a lot to chew on there, Dak. So for the chapters for me, the first one I feel like maybe will be our first perspective from the Queen Mother, because like now at this point 2 men that she has had the hots for are like obsessed with this book and like this honor code or whatever. So that sounds like a quote that she would say. It's just like, I can't stand these men with this book. So maybe that'll be her first perspective. And, Dalinar will have to keep rebuffing her with the code and all that. And she's just like, if this book didn't exist, please God, why? So long leap predicament here. And this would be painting this Queen Mother in a very poor light. So hopefully I kind of like her, strangely enough. Like I don't dislike her, but I also could see the potential of like she actually hates the fact that her former husband like got obsessed with this book. She doesn't like it with Dalinar either. She actually paid people like the Parshendi people to like somehow they had something she had something they wanted, and so she got the Parshendi people to hire the Shin assassin, and she actually plotted her husband's death.
That's dramatic. Okay.
Yeah, that would be pretty dramatic. I don't know that's like a long shot. I don't actually want that to be the case because I actually kind of like her. She's fun, and so maybe that the other side of it could be that she's now plotting Dalinar's death, and maybe if Dalinar does die, it will be by her plot. But who knows? Anyway, so we got for that first chapter. The second chapter, was it Wandersail?
Yep.
Wandersail. Yeah, I don't know what that could mean, especially if people have opinions on this chapter. Like, I'm like, what? Just from that title, I can't really tell like what would an unpopular opinion be about the chapter. Because I assume if you're saying they have opinions, some people like it, some people hate it. So, like, yeah, I'm really curious to know what that means. I can't really come up with anything just from hearing the title. But let's talk about the other stuff. So Hoyd's gone. I don't think he's coming back this book. So my predicament for that is that he is gone, and he will no longer be on Roshar for the rest of this book. And even though Sadeas is trying to be buddy with Dalinar, I think it's to his own ends. I think eventually, so for example, in this scenario, Dalinar sees something coming, right? And Hoyd tells Dalinar, yeah, Sadeas is going to do something, right? Well, that's kind of diffused because Sadeas does something provoked by Dalinar that in no way hurts Dalinar, right? So like, what would that warning from Hoyd really have been about? It couldn't have been about that because Sadeas completely diffused that. And so I think Sadeas is still planning something, but he wants it to be something that Dalinar's not going to see coming. So that is, and now that he has the prospect of getting a Shard Blade, he probably wants to keep the partnership with Dalinar going at least until he gets that. So once he's got what he wants, maybe then that's when the worm will turn. Again, don't know exactly what shape that's going to take, but obviously I think that there's something more going on, and Sadeas is still trying to take Dalinar down. And then, yeah, I think like we've talked about, like Dak mentioned, I think Kaladin will definitely meet Dalinar, become a part of the bridge crew. Possibly, if they form a bridge crew with Dalinar's group, maybe the whole crew will get to go and be a part of a Dalinar bridge crew, which would be cool. Very possible. I do like the thing that Dak said about Dalinar and Kaladin realizing there's a connection between them with the visions and stuff. That would be really cool if that were the case. And then let's see, what else did I have here? I think they're gonna get maybe it will be a moot point, or maybe it'll kind of be the last straw, and that's what leads them to Dalinar's group. But I think they're gonna get found out about the spheres. I think Moash seemed to have a big greed in his eye for them spheres. So I don't think he's going to kill Dalinar. I think Moash is going to try to betray them before that for money.
Ooh.
So yeah,
could be
interesting.
That's my thought. That's all I got this week.
I mean, we've seen that he very much, at least told Kaladin that he wants to learn how to fight. So he was very passionate about that. But you're also right that he seemed very much like, I want some of that money. So yeah, I could see that. I also, you're talking about like Kaladin ending up over, in Dalinar's camp, and maybe the whole crew gets to come. It would be kind of a downer if, we have, like, Kaladin goes over to Dalinar somehow and we leave Rock and Teft and Sigzil and whoever else behind. I mean, I guess Dak wouldn't mind if Moash gets left behind, but
I would encourage it.
What if that's what happens? Like, he leaves the whole crew behind and Moash comes back for revenge for being left behind later, and that's how he turns evil.
Interesting. This would imply that he's not already evil.
That's true. Yeah, you're right. That is the implication there.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, you got some interesting possibilities in there, Joe. I like some of this. Some of it possibly downer, but we know that these books can take a downer direction sometimes. So
Sure. I mean, something's got to happen to move our characters into like motion. You know what I mean?
It's true. Something got to happen. I mean, things are happening. Sadeas and Dalinar are gonna have they did have a joint plateau assault. It went well. So stuff's going. Maybe the whole point was that Dalinar was like, I want to. The king told him, if you can get the others to work with you, then I'll make you High Prince of War or whatever. So this may open the door for Dalinar to get that. Although Dalinar is also thinking about quitting and going back to Alethkar and making Adolin the High Prince. So what kind of balance you're going to strike between those two, I don't know.
Yeah.
Okay.
Lots of things to think about going forward now. So we've got some things in motion. I still have zero idea how Shallan's storyline is going to tie up at some point, but we do have a bit of a way forward with Kaladin and Dalinar, which is good. The thing that struck me this week is that Amaram's on the way back, or the way to them, which is not really good for Kaladin. People know of the story on some level of how Amaram, well, not how Amaram, obviously they don't know the story of how Amaram got the shard blade, but you were there when he won the shard blade. That doesn't invite happy, warm, fuzzy feelings for Kaladin. Fair enough. Maybe Kaladin's going to get a do-over with a shard blade. So they're talking about, those in Dalinar and Sadeas were talking about, we could win you a shard blade. The shard plate can go to Renarin. I think in a symmetrical kind of world, maybe Renarin will die. Not that I want that, because I like him, but I like Tien as well, and things didn't work out well for him. So maybe we'll see a bit more symmetry with Kaladin and Adolin, who have already met previously. But if Dalinar is gone, maybe Dalinar will, I guess, restore some faith that there actually are some good people who stick to their word. If Dalinar does die at the end of the book, then those teachings are already passed down to Adolin. Adolin and Kaladin perhaps have got an opportunity to work really well. Also, if there's no Renarin, maybe Kaladin actually becomes the shard bearer for the shard blade he was originally supposed to have.
Ooh.
And so maybe the visions between Kaladin and Dalinar will end up leading them kind of on this path. I was thinking more about, okay, this is book one. We're not expecting things to get resolved by book one, but we have to get to a point where the story can then move forward. And there's a huge amount of stuff that we've got no idea coming, but it would be cool for Kaladin to have something extra in the next book. He's effectively a prisoner for where he is now, I don't expect him to be in the same situation in the next book. Something pretty big has to change, and I think we're on the edge of that. So yeah, we'll find out more about what's happening to Kaladin. He's getting suspicious. Dalinar's asking questions. Putting the two of them together and sharing their knowledge, I think, will be good. But then I think once they've done that, then Dalinar's sort of out of the picture, and maybe that's how we move forward with Adolin. So I think we don't need. Unfortunately, we don't need him in because I like Dalinar too. I'm happy to keep all of them. Maybe in terms of the big bad, obviously we've got much more at play in the Cosmere to sort out, but perhaps on a lower level, if Amaram is killed, that severs the link between the two armies, and then Sadeas is actually on the bad side. We don't really know where he sits right now, but maybe that's the thing that divides them. The trusting Sadeas, that could be over, but maybe Dalinar will trust Sadeas more than he should, causing a divide even further later. But it would make sense to have, like, they've come together now, but I don't think they'll stay one kind of united force. I think that'll divide up as we go.
Okay.
So that's my predictions. In relation to the chapters, that storming book, it's got to be the Way of Kings book. I don't know who's going to be cranky about it. Maybe Adolin's going to be cranky about the book.
He would be, right?
Because it does lead to, and the fact that Dalinar's got things happening to him that are maybe like, and they are referring to the book in the Way of Kings. Maybe he will sort of harp on about that more now that he's had a little bit of, I guess, he's got a bit of faith in it now. Trust Sadeas and it'll be all right. Well, okay, he's got a reason to trust Sadeas at the moment. So he could get sort of ramping up on the book a bit, revert his decision to retire right now. I can't see him going anywhere anytime soon right now. That might still be a little while away. But I could see Adolin getting really cranky about the book. And Wanda Sale, I think just because of the structure of the chapters, I would think maybe it's got something more to do with Kaladin and what's happening there. I don't know that it's going to be a literal type thing involving a sail, but they're going to get some wind in their sails. They're going to be starting to move. Whatever path they choose to go, whatever plan Kaladin's concocting in his head is going to start to get a bit of momentum and move on. I think with the rope thing, it might not be as simple as just dropping a rope. Maybe he's going to build something to like catch things as they sweep through so they don't have to work as hard. They can train more. I don't really know what his plan is yet, but whatever's going to happen with them, I think is going to pick up momentum, which is what I think is that's referring to.
Okay. Okay. That like a very metaphorical sort of just they're gaining momentum. I see it. Okay. You had a lot of stuff that I'm trying to keep straight. Big predictions from Jamie this time.
Me too. Yeah.
Interesting thoughts on Amaram, especially because I mean, kind of like you pointed out, it's easy to forget that Amaram like works for Sadeas. Like he's under Sadeas. So when he shows up, a full shard bearer as part of Sadeas's like crew may have an effect on the landscape of, how does that change what's going on with Dalinar? How does that change Sadeas' standing and all this stuff? And and Amaram's got that reputation. The reputation for being the same kind of reputation that Dalinar has, as this very upstanding Light Eyes. And so how do other people view him? We don't know what kind of history he has with any of these other ones. Maybe him and Dalinar are old buddies or old enemies, or who knows. It could just affect more than just Kaladin when Amaram gets here.
True.
But my favorite thought is that Kaladin may get a do-over on the shard blade. And I'm wondering what you think. Like, so if he gets a second chance after all the stuff that he's been through over the last year, does that change how he feels about the shard blade now that we're a year away from him seeing it murder his friends, right? And he's been through a lot, and at times it's probably like, man, why didn't I just take that stupid shard blade? So does he make a different choice this time if confronted with the same decision?
He might, and I think he probably won't even know how he feels about it until he's in the situation. because he doesn't want it. But if Dalinar potentially has the chance to show him there are actually good people, a good light eyes, as he was starting to believe in Amaram, if he can have that sort of faith restored, coupled with whatever he learns either from Dalinar or about the visions, if he accepts that he's got a bigger purpose or something's got to happen. There's a bit of information still to come, whether it's from Teft or Syl or however it's going to come through, but he might still not take it. Maybe Rock gets it. He doesn't want to fight, but maybe him having it is better. It's there. I don't love that theory, but something could happen. But if he at least gets that chance to do over with learning what he's learnt now, and also not just being faced with the fact that it's killed everyone and everyone around him dies and he still lives, like maybe if he's got a reason for that, he might have a reason to take up the blade.
I like this idea that Rock somehow gets the shards and he's like, I don't want to fight. I'll use them for
no one gets them. Yeah, no one gets them now. Sorry. One less shard blade.
I'm going to put them in a pack and I'm going to keep them. They're mine. You guys can't have them. But I'm not going to use them.
And that's the thing. Like, we also don't know what Amaran's actually like now that he's got a shard blade.
True.
So he could be really, really awful. And maybe Kaladin can say, look, I don't know who else to trust with this. Anyway, I'm going to take it, and at least I can control what happens when it happens. I mean, there's a whole bunch of other things to factor in. We still don't know what Death is doing, and he's got all sorts of magical shard powers and all that sort of stuff. He might, in the moment, have a reason to have to take it. It might not be, all calm weather and it's a conscious decision. He might just have to pick it up and deal with it. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see what happens to him.
You said Seth, and I thought you said Death. And I was like, wait, Marsh is here?
Marsh.
Marsh is going to pick up that shard blade and be like, here we go.
Seth called himself Death.
That's true. Yeah.
Maybe he and Marsh can hang out sometime. So, how's the reaping going? That's good. You?
Same old.
Yeah. Killing guys, taking souls. What are you going to do?
I love stealing. I love taking things.
Marsh is like, I hear you work for my brother now. What?
Since when? Oh, that's who my secret boss is. Okay.
Oh.
Okay. All right. Let's move into. We have an email and a couple of reviews. So Joe, get your misting list ready. I'll read the email while he pulls it up. So this first one is from Eric. It says it's titled Transcendent Thinking. And Eric says, Crabs ahoy! Hello everyone. For starters, I want to say, Joe, I know why you're sad. R.I.P. Akira Toriyama.
Oh yeah, that was sad news.
That was very, very tragic.
Mm-hmm. I was pretty bummed out.
Yeah.
It's like one of my favorite anime series of all time.
It was the anime series for so many people of our generation.
Yeah, for sure. It was probably one of the first anime shows I ever saw as a kid, because it was one of the early ones that got translated in the 90s and put on Cartoon Network when I was growing up. And so it was among the first ones that I saw for sure. Because I think like the lineup on what was Toonami in the afternoon was like Thundercats, which I detested, Dragon Ball Z, and that was the Ocean dub. And then, which was, I believe Ocean dub was done in Canada. And then like a couple of other shows that were not anime. So like that was really the only one that I saw in there that I was like, what is this? I'd never seen anything like it. So it's pretty cool. So
for some reason, I want to say that along with Thundercats and DBZ, it was like Reboot. I don't know why that pops into my head, but that's one that occurs to me.
I don't even remember that. And then like late at night too, they'd like replay it with Batman the Animated Series. They'd have like a couple episodes of that late at night, and then after that Dragon Ball Z would come on. And so it was a time, man. So yeah, that was quite a bummer to go down the manga rabbit hole. I've been reading a lot of manga. I read through 400 chapters of Hunter x Hunter, thinking, oh, that's all there is. Nope, they are on hiatus. That author's been on hiatus for like since 2022, and I'm like, oh man, so now I don't know what happens. So that was kind of a bummer. But that guy's had health issues apparently, so I understand that. What else have I read? Death Note. I read that. That one's shorter. I think that's all the new stuff I've read. I read all of Naruto a while back. Food Wars, I think I mentioned that. A couple other ones.
I had to go look at the history of Toonami lineups because now I was curious.
Oh yeah.
About that. So before DBZ was introduced, DBZ gets introduced August 31st, 1998.
Wow.
So before DBZ, what they had was Sailor Moon, Thundercats.
Oh, I forgot about Sailor Moon.
Real Adventures of Johnny Quest, and it's actually 2 Real Adventures of Johnny Quest. Before that, they had Voltrons. So that's the stuff. And so then DBZ comes out. It's Sailor Moon, Thundercats, DBZ, and then Johnny Quest. And then they mix in some Super Friends. Go back to the Thundercats. I guess Super Friends didn't do that well.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like Sailor Moon, Thundercats, DBZ, DBZ. And then like the next year reboot comes in. So that's when I was thinking.
Reboot? I'm not remembering what that was.
I'll show you. I mean, if you see
Canadian animated series. Oh yeah, that
when
was
you see
weird.
the animation, I feel like you will remember.
Yeah, no, I looked
animation.
it up. It's
Yeah.
weird looking. Yeah, so I'd seen Sailor Moon, but as a young boy, I'm like, that's for girls, so I didn't watch it. You know, I was a young boy in the 90s. You'll have to remember that. Sailor Moon is fun for all at this point, as far as I'm concerned. But as a young boy in the 90s, I was like, nah, that doesn't look like the show for me. So, yeah, when DBZ was on, though, you better believe I tuned in. I remember riding my bike, because it came on very soon after school let out. So I would, like, ride my bike really hard from school to get home in time to watch. Sometimes I missed the first one, but I'd get home in time to see the second one, so.
Yep, this
What a
says it
time.
was the line. It's like 5 and 5:30 were the DBZs, which probably that's Eastern time. So it'd be like 4 and 4:30.
4 and 4:30. Yeah.
Yep. So yep, Toonami, good times.
Good times.
Let's see. Eric goes on to say, wasn't of the going to write this email in High Imperial, but I'm still in shock. When Joe mentioned Akira's passing, it hit me hard. For not only am I still processing that event, it suddenly occurred to me, I'm caught up on the podcast. I've apparently just absorbed faster than I assumed the Cosmere noobs snorted up Adium until recently. I started listening a few months ago after my 5th listen through the Stormlight Archive. I've been meaning to write in for a while. Congratulations and thanks for all your hard work on the podcast. It's been hours upon hours of entertainment. Not gonna lie, at first I truly believed everyone had read some of these books with how accurate the predicaments are. That, or snorting lines of Adium to see the future. My apologies for doubting you all. After seeing your reactions and predicaments in The Way of Kings, I'm happy to say I am now a true believer and can only chalk it up to transcendent thinking. Keep up the amazing work. So I guess he's just like, you guys predicted so poorly in The Way of Kings that I no longer believe you're cheating.
Yeah, there's been a lot of swings and
Thanks,
misses,
man.
but to be fair, yeah, there's been a lot of swings
What a way
and
to be
misses, but
vindicated.
also,
Yeah.
it's also like not fair, I feel like, because it's such a big book. It's like we have so many opportunities to predict and get it wrong. We have way more opportunities to predict things.
That's true.
Yeah, this is the longest
and
book
with-
we've read so far.
Yeah, and with like not a ton happening each and every time we turn it, you know, we start reading, like sometimes we don't got a lot to go on, my friend. Yeah.
I will say some things that have been said today. I'm not going to say it was during predicaments because it wasn't necessarily during predicaments. Some things that have been said today, people in the audience are going to be like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe it! He said the thing."
Are there
So-
are there memes of what we say on the Discord? Like aside from like the obvious, volcano shit.
No, I wouldn't say that it gets really memey. Usually, people bring it up. It's fun discussion for a couple of days, and then we move on.
Okay.
And then Eric also sent us a screenshot of his 5-star Spotify review.
Oh, nice. Eric, you slid into my heart with your talk of Akira Toriyama and your quick catching up on the podcast. Glad to have you with us. You are a slider.
Nice. Okay, and then we have one new review from March 13th. This one is from Storm B 3210.
Storm B
King of Storms.
3210. Storm B, you are allergic.
I didn't read it yet. You got me read it
Well,
first.
sorry, I thought that was it. It was just 5 stars. My bad.
A wonderful journey through the Cosmere. I'm impressed by how the crew moves through with daring guesses that hit as often as they miss. Looking forward to more volcano theories as we go through the Stormlight archives.
Awesome. Well, you're still a lurcher. I said it once. I'll say it again. Lurch away.
Thank you, Stormby. Thanks you, everybody who's leaving us reviews on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. If you leave us a 5-star review and let us know about it, then Joe will jump you into the Misting Crew.
It's true. It's what I do.
If you join our Patreon, then Joe will jump you into the Faring Crew.
Nah, there's no jumping.
No,
it's just like a gentle nudge.
I think I still just call it the Misting Crew, but you get a Faring power for that one, so you can be a Twinborn by the end of it. For those of you out there who are just here for Stormlight and don't know anything about Mistborn, you're like, what the hell is he talking about? So
yeah, it's true.
Good times. I mean, we found out 2 names of orders of Knights Radiant. Maybe we'll find out all 10, and then we'll switch it up and hand out some Knights Radiant orders or something. We'll have to come up with some third thing if that ever becomes a thing. Okay. So that is everything. If you would like to send us an email like Eric did, the address is thesanderlanche@gmail.com. Find us on X and Instagram and Facebook and Patreon, where you can find us on Patreon, The Sanderlanche, or The Sanderlanche Podcast. Hold on. It's called, The Sanderlanche Podcast is the title, but it's patreon.com/thesanderlanche. If you want to check that out, I'm still posting, although I slacked off this week. I've barely had time to edit the normal episode this week, let alone extras. But I'm posting my first read-through of Defiant and my reaction to that. So if you want to see that, check out the Patreon. As I mentioned, for next week, we're going to read 2 more chapters, 56 and 57. And then there will be another 2-chapter week after that. And then we start getting into bigger numbers of chapters. So we are approaching that the big downhill Sanderlanche slope with, like I said, we're 77% of the way through at the end of the chapters we read this time. So we're getting there, and then we will read something else next. Who knows what? Maybe it'll be the next Stormlight book. Maybe not.
Yeah, Words of Radiance could be.
Yep, that is the next one.
No Leatherbound yet.
I was going to say just in time for the Leatherbound. Well,
yeah,
almost.
Right? I mean, by the time we get there, maybe.
Yeah.
Because we still got, how many episodes we got of this show, of this book left? We got 1, 2, 3.
We should have like 6,
7 left.
7.
This is episode 23, and we have 30 in this book. So.
Okay.
Is
one ahead
is
of
delivery of Leatherbound gonna be that quick?
I kind of doubt it.
I was about to say that seems real fast turnaround.
I think I said Secret Project 5's not out till 2025. So.
Yeah,
I
that
knew
one is
Secret
definitely
Project.
not. I don't know when the delivery on. Hold on, backer kit, Words of Radiance. Let's see what it mentions about when the delivery is expected. I mean, I know he was signing pages for these for a good long while because he has to send the signed stuff to be put into the books when the books are made. So he does that way ahead of time.
Gotcha.
Oh wow.
When will you deliver? It does say new Secret Project shipping in 2025. I don't know if that applies to this too, but yeah, so it may be 2025.
I was about to say it would make sense for them to just do it at the same time. That way you get all your stuff at the same time.
Oh, here we go. Fulfillment begins fall of 2024 on the Words of Radiance Leatherbound and the Dragonsteel Prime hardcover.
Oh, so
okay.
The Leatherbands are coming out at the same time. Not Dragon Con, but the con.
The con is in December this year, and actually that's what was making me think that the books might be all done by then, because they talked about some of those add-ons that you can add may be available at the con, but they only want to have them at the con if they've already shipped everybody, all the backers, their stuff. So that makes it sound like they're hoping to get most of this stuff fulfilled before it's the first week of December, I think, the con. So that's still probably, not in time for us because it's March now. And I mean, you guys don't know what we're reading after this, but if we went right into Words of Radiance, it wouldn't be nearly there wouldn't be nearly enough time.
Yeah.
But anyways, so 2 chapters for next time. Music by Miracle of Sound, and wasn't to the time of next. Colo, T.S. Fasher. Crab at thee.
Go stop before